This is Module 3, Lesson 5. We're going to add fractions with unlike units by first making equal fractions using pictures. So I'm going to back up our lesson a little, and I'm going to point out that if I wanted to add one adult, so we have one adult right here, to three adults, if I asked you how much that is, you would tell me that it's 4 adults, because the adults are the unit. So just like that, in fractions, if I had 1/5 plus 3/5, and I asked you if we can add it together, you would tell me that yes, we could add it together because they have the same unit, and the unit in this case is the denominator of fifths. So I would add and say that I have 4/5. If I take that same question and I say, what is one child plus 3 adults? I can't add them together because I have a child and I have adults, and they're not the same unit. In order to make them the same unit, I have to come up with another name. In this case, I might say people. So there are 4 people. I can combine them because they're considered people, not combining them with child or adult. It works the same exact way when we work with fractions. So we're going to talk about how to solve fractions, addition problems with fractions, but we must use pictures. Today is the day about pictures. So when I first look at can I add 1/2 and 1/4, what I notice is that my units are not the same. They are unlike units. And when they're unlike, I can't add them. So in order to be able to add them like I added the children and the adult, I had to make the same unit of people. I need to somehow make the same unit. So since I have 2 fractions, I'm going to draw 2 rectangles, one for each fraction. This one is going to represent 1/2. And in order to make 1/2, I'm going to draw one line down the middle. All lines in my first rectangle are going to be vertical, up and down. Then, over here, I'm going to do 1/4, and in my second rectangle, I'm going to make them horizontal. And now I'm going to go back into it, and I'm going to shade one of the halves, and I'm going to shade one of the fourths. So we have 1/2 and 1/4. Now I'm going to go to my next step. I'm going to take all the lines that I drew across over here. So I have 1, 2, 3 lines that I drew horizontally, and I'm going to put those 3 lines into my first rectangle. And now I'm going to take the one line that I drew vertically, and I'm going to put it into my other rectangle. Now I have not changed my fractions. All I have done, they are still the same exact part shaded. It's an equal fraction. It's just a different number because they're equivalent. So if I look at my first picture, instead of 1/2 now, my picture represents 4/8, but they are equivalent fractions. They equal the same amount. And on my other rectangle, I have 1/4, but in this picture, it's 2/8. So now up top, I can write my new fractions, and because they have the same unit, they're both 8ths, I can add them together, and I have 6/8. And now looking at 6/8, we go back to what we had done yesterday about reducing fractions. And both of these are even, so I can divide them both by 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So my answer is 6/8 simplified, reduced, or put into its lowest terms, which is 3/4. Do another example together. We have 1/3 and 1/2. We're once again going to draw our rectangles. Going to split my first one into thirds vertically, and my second one into halves horizontally. Then I'm going to shade them in. There's my 1/3. There's my 1/2. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to take my lines that were horizontal and put that into my first rectangle. And I'm going to take my lines that were vertical and put them into my second rectangle. Now my new fraction over here that's equivalent to 1/3 is 2/6. And my new fraction over here that's equivalent to 1/2 is 3/6. And now I rewrite my problem showing 2/6 plus 3/6, and I have 5/6. And I cannot simplify that, so it's in its lowest terms. We're going to do one last one together. 2/3 and 1/4. There's something a little different in this one. So we have our two rectangles. We have 2/3 and 1/4. We are split vertically into thirds and horizontally into fourths. We're now going to shade in, and this is where something is a little different. The numerator on this one is 2/3, so it's not just one box. We have to shade in two boxes. And over here is 1/4. So now we're going to go back in. We're going to take our lines that are over here horizontally, and we're going to put them into our first rectangle. And our lines over here that are vertical, we're going to put them into our second rectangle. And now we have some new equivalent fractions. We know that we're working out of 12, and we have 8/12, and we know there's 12, and there's 3/12, and our new number sentence is 8/12 plus 3/12 equals 11/12. And that is how we add fractions using pictures.